It was 3:42 a.m. when the baby monitors started whispering. Not crying, not static, whispering. At first, I thought it was interference. We live in a rural part of Ohio. Weak signal, old wiring, the usual excuses your brain grabs when it doesn't want to panic. But then, it said my name. Clear, soft, right next to my daughter's crib. My name is Daniel. I'm not someone who believes in ghosts. I work IT security. I deal in logic, code, evidence. And I know what I heard. My wife, Laura, was asleep beside me. The monitor sat on my nightstand, its small green screen glowing faintly. The room was dark except for that sickly electronic light. Dan. It wasn't a voice like you and I speak. It sounded filtered, like it was pushing through something thick. I grabbed the monitor. "Laura," I whispered, "wake up." She groaned. "What?" Before I could answer, the whisper came again, this time distorted, stretched unnaturally long. Dan. Laura shot upright. We stared at each other. The monitor crackled. Then silence. Our daughter, Emma, was 6 months old. She slept in the room across the hall. The nursery door was closed. I checked the camera feed. She was asleep, peaceful, still. Nothing else in the room. No movement, no shadow, nothing. Laura forced a laugh, probably crossed signals. I nodded, but something about the audio bothered me. There was no background hiss, no frequency distortion. It sounded intentional, like someone was leaning close to the microphone. That was the first night. The second night, it laughed. 2:17 a.m., a soft, breathy chuckle over the monitor. I bolted upright before it even finished. This time, I didn't wake Laura. I walked to the nursery. The hallway felt colder than usual. You know that sensation when the air feels wrong, heavy? The door was slightly open. We always close it completely. I'm sure of that. I pushed it open slowly. Emma was asleep. But the rocking chair in the corner was moving, slowly, back, forth, back, forth. No windows were open. The air vent wasn't even on. I stood there frozen, trying to rationalize it. Maybe I bumped it earlier. Maybe the floor shifted. Maybe... The monitor in my hand crackled, but I wasn't holding it near the crib. It was in my palm. The whisper came again, right against my ear. "You left her alone." I dropped it. It hit the hardwood with a sharp crack. The rocking chair stopped instantly, dead still. I grabbed Emma and ran. Laura thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. We replaced the monitor the next day. Different brand, different frequency, different everything. For 3 nights, nothing happened. Then on the 4th night, the new monitor turned on by itself. The screen flickered to life, black and white image, Emma sleeping, and something standing beside the crib. Tall, too tall for the ceiling height, its head slightly bent, like it didn't quite fit in the room. The image glitched. I ran before thinking. I threw the nursery door open. Empty, completely empty. Emma was still asleep. No figure, no distortion, nothing. But the room smelled different, like damp soil, like something had been underground. Laura saw it that time. Not the figure, the smell. She smelled it too, and she finally believed me. We reviewed the recorded footage the next morning. The timestamp read 3:42 a.m. Again, same time as the first whisper. The footage showed the crib, Emma asleep, the rocking chair still, then static, just for half a second. When the image cleared, Emma was standing, 6 months old, standing in her crib, facing the corner, not moving. The timestamp skipped ahead 2 minutes, and she was lying down again. We never saw her stand before, not once. And when we checked her developmental logs later, she couldn't physically pull herself up yet, not for another 3 weeks. We moved out within the month. New house, new town, new everything. We never used a monitor again. Emma is 5 now. She's healthy, normal, mostly. But sometimes when she thinks no one is watching, she stands in the corner of her room, facing the wall, whispering. And last week, at exactly 3:42 a.m., our bedroom door creaked open, slowly, and a small voice from the darkness said, "Dad, it says you left it behind."
The hospital cameras don't record audio, but something was answering back. I worked security at Black Ridge Medical for 6 years, night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. You learn quickly that hospitals never really sleep. Machines hum, vents breathe, elevators move on their own cycles. Somewhere, someone is always awake. But after 3 a.m., it changes. There's a window between 3 and 4 where the building feels hollow. That's when it started. It was 3:18 a.m. when I noticed room 417 on the monitor. The room was empty. It had been empty for 3 days. The patient who stayed there, Mrs. Harlow, passed away from cardiac arrest during my shift earlier that week. Peaceful, quiet, no drama. The room was cleaned, sanitized, and sealed until the next admission. But on camera 12, inside room 417, the bed sheets were slightly indented, like someone was sitting on the edge. I leaned closer to the screen. It was subtle, a depression in the mattress, nothing dramatic, could have been the angle. I switched to another camera, hallway outside 417, empty. Fluorescent lights buzzing faintly. I switched back. The indentation was deeper now, clear, defined, like weight. I felt that tightness in my chest, the one your body gives you before your brain catches up. I radioed maintenance. "Hey, you guys in 4th floor east?" Static. Then, "Negative, we're in the basement." I swallowed, because the security log showed a badge swipe into 417 at 3:11 a.m. Authorized access by someone named Harlow, Mrs. Evelyn Harlow, deceased. I assumed glitch, database error, old access card not deactivated, rational, logical. That's what I told myself as I rode the elevator up. The 4th floor always felt colder at night. Long corridor, muted lighting, the kind of silence that presses on your ears. Room 417 was at the far end. The door was slightly open. I know for a fact it was closed earlier. I approached slowly. The hallway lights flickered once. Just once. I pushed the door open. Empty. Bed made. No indentation. No movement. No one inside. I even checked the bathroom. Nothing. I stepped back into the hallway and heard something behind me. A soft shifting sound, like fabric dragging across sheets. I turned. The bed sheets were disturbed, right in front of me, like someone had just stood up. I left. I told myself it was exhaustion. You see strange things on night shifts. Your brain fills in gaps. That's what I believed. Until the calls started. At 3:23 a.m., the front desk phone rang. Internal call from extension 417. I stared at it for a full 5 seconds before answering. Security. Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Wheezing. Familiar. I had heard it before. Mrs. Harlow had severe fluid buildup in her lungs. She breathed like she was pulling air through water.
I felt my hand tremble on the receiver. "This isn't funny," I said. The breathing continued. Then a faint voice. "Why did you let me die?" The line went dead. I checked the call log. Extension 417. Duration 22 seconds. Origin in-room landline. I called the IT department immediately. They checked the wiring remotely. Room 417's phone had been physically disconnected after the patient passed. There was no dial tone capability, no power to the handset. Impossible to make a call. The next night, I refused to look at camera 12. I avoided it, pretended it didn't exist. But at exactly 3:18 a.m., every monitor on my desk flickered, then went black, except one. Camera 12, room 417. The bed was occupied. This time I could see the outline clearly, a figure sitting upright, head tilted slightly to the side, watching the camera, not moving. The lights in the room were off, but I could see it, like it was darker than the darkness around it. The screen began to glitch, horizontal lines slicing across the image, and slowly the figure stood up. It walked toward the camera, too smooth, no natural sway, like it was gliding. The closer it got, the more distorted the image became, until the screen filled with static, and through the static I heard the breathing again. But this time, it wasn't coming from the monitor. It was behind me. I froze. I could feel it. Someone standing inches from my chair. Cold air against the back of my neck. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The monitor screen cleared and showed me sitting at my desk, alone. No one behind me, but my shadow was moving. The lights in the security room cut out. Total darkness. Then the emergency lights kicked in. Dim red glow. The phone rang again. Extension 417. I answered without thinking. "I didn't let you die," I whispered. Silence. Then, "You signed the DNR." My stomach dropped because I had. Mrs. Harlow's family couldn't be reached. She had no advance directive on file. The attending physician asked for a witness signature for the do not resuscitate order during cardiac arrest. I signed a secondary witness. Procedure, protocol, necessary, logical. But guilt doesn't care about logic. The voice continued. "You watched." The line disconnected. I quit 2 weeks later. Transferred facilities, different hospital, different city. I thought it was over, until my first night at the new job. 3:18 a.m. Security desk phone rang. Internal call. Extension 417. But this hospital doesn't have a room 417. I answered. The breathing was clearer this time, stronger, closer. And before the line cut, she whispered, "I followed you." The police said there was no one behind me in the video, but I know what I felt breathing on my neck. This happened 3 years ago. I still don't watch security footage anymore. I used to run a small electronics repair shop, nothing fancy. Cracked phone screens, laptop diagnostics, data recovery. It was just me and one part-time employee. The shop had 6 security cameras: front entrance, counter, back room, storage hallway, parking lot, and one pointed at the repair bench where I worked late nights. It was the bench camera that ruined me. It started with small things. Tools moved, not dramatically, just slightly out of place. A screwdriver I left aligned perfectly with the mat would be rotated a few degrees. A soldering wire spool would roll an inch from where I placed it. Tiny things. I blamed my employee, Marcus. He blamed me. We laughed about it. Then customers started mentioning something strange. "Your dad works late, huh?" "My dad died when I was 14. "What do you mean?" The older guy, tall, thin, just standing in the back hallway, thought maybe he was supervising. There was no older guy. No one else had access. I checked the footage that night. Back hallway camera. Timestamp 8:42 p.m. Customer enters. I greet them at the counter. And in the hallway behind me, there's movement. A shadow stretching along the wall. Long, too long. It bends at an angle that doesn't match any human body. I rewound it, frame by frame. At one point, it separates from my shadow completely and stands still, watching. I upgraded the cameras the next day. Higher resolution, motion detection alerts, cloud backup. If something was there, I would see it clearly. 3 nights later, I got my first alert at 2:56 a.m. Motion detected, repair bench. I lived 10 minutes away. I checked the live feed on my phone. The shop was dark, but I could see my chair slowly spinning, back and forth, like someone had just stood up. I zoomed in. The camera quality was crystal clear now, and that's when I saw him, standing directly behind where I normally sit. Tall, unnaturally thin, head slightly tilted. He wasn't blurry. He wasn't transparent. He looked solid, except his face. There wasn't one. Just smooth skin. No eyes, no mouth, nothing. My chest tightened. I watched for almost a full minute. He didn't move, didn't sway, didn't breathe, just stood there. Then, suddenly, the feed glitched, and he was gone. I called the police. They did a full sweep. No forced entry, no broken locks, no one inside. I showed them the footage. They watched it 3 times. The officer looked confused. "There's nothing there," he said. I felt irritation spike. "What do you mean, nothing? He's right there." They turned the screen toward me. The video showed my chair spinning, empty space behind it.
No figure, no distortion, nothing. I grabbed my phone, opened the cloud backup. Same result, empty. But I know what I saw. I had watched it live, clear as day. The officer gave me a look people reserve for unstable strangers. Maybe you were tired. Maybe I was, but it didn't stop. The next week, customers stopped coming in after sunset. One woman refused to enter. "There's someone standing behind you," she whispered through the glass door. I turned around. Empty. She left. I checked the hallway camera, and this time I saw him again, standing closer, just at the edge of the frame, like he was learning the blind spots. The timestamp read 2:56 a.m., but it was 6:12 p.m., broad daylight. The clock on the wall confirmed it. The footage said otherwise. I started feeling watched even at home. Mirrors made me uncomfortable, because sometimes, just sometimes, my reflection lagged, a split-second delay before copying my movement. You can dismiss that as imagination, but explain this. One night, while reviewing footage at the shop alone, I felt breath against my ear, cold, slow. I didn't turn. I didn't dare. Instead, I slowly looked at the bench camera monitor in front of me, and there I was, sitting, alone, except something was leaning over my shoulder, its head inches from mine. Where its face should have been, there was darkness. Not shadow, not blur, just absence, like the image itself was being erased. The timestamp, 2:56 a.m. It was 11:03 p.m. The camera flickered, and the image changed. Now it showed me sitting there, completely alone, but I could still feel it, breathing, waiting. I sold the shop a month later, cheap, didn't care. The new owner called me 2 weeks after taking over. "Hey, quick question. Did you have someone tall working nights?" My throat went dry. "No." He laughed nervously. "Yeah, weird. My cameras keep glitching at 2:56 a.m. Looks like someone's standing behind the bench." I hung up, blocked the number, moved apartments, changed everything. But you can't move away from something that isn't tied to a place.
Last night, I woke up at exactly 2:56 a.m. I wasn't fully awake, just enough to sense something wrong. My room was dark, silent, except for breathing, not mine, behind me, slow, measured, patient. I didn't turn around. I don't think I ever will, because I already know what I'll see. And I have a feeling he's been in every reflection, every camera, every shadow for years, just waiting for me to notice. Subscribe for more chilling tales.